Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 43, First Week Activities for Back to School. So this week we talk about all the things that you can do on the first week of school. We've been talking about back to like just decor for back to school, like how you set up your classroom. We've talked about actually setting up your classroom and the organizational systems that you can have in place. We've talked about organization. We've talked about all those getting ready steps. And now we're going to actually talk about things that we can do with our kids as far as like content ideas, team builders, class builders, and all things that we tend to put off until like this weekend before the kids actually come back, because we're so inundated with so many things that it takes until that time, until we finally can think about what we're going to actually teach for the first week. It's crazy. And I know that some of you are already back to school. I am already back to school. And oh man, I am definitely feeling the one tired teacher. All right. I hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Devery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Devery.
Hey. Oh my goodness gracious. All right. So some people are getting ready to go back to school because now we are getting really close. Actually, to Monday is Labor Day while I'm recording this. So a lot of people go back to school after Labor Day. But I know there's many teachers out there that are already back to school. Like I'm back to school, and I know a lot of other teachers that went back to school even earlier than that. It's like the third week of school for us. We're going into the fourth week. And so I know that there are some people that are already in the thick of it. And believe me, I get it 100%, like even more than ever. So tired. So I totally understand. But I wanted to wrap up this series on back to school. We have talked about some really big back to school topics. We've talked about getting motivated for back to school. That was episode 39. We've talked about why back to school, like decor in your classroom, why it matters. And that was episode 38. We've talked about procedures in episode 40, which if you didn't listen to that and you've already gotten back to school and you're struggling with how parts of your day are going, go listen to episode 40, because procedures are the key to having and running a successful classroom. We're going to be talking about behavior management in the next series that we're going to be doing, which starts next week. And that will be exciting and full of information. I have learned a ton and I have a lot to share. And oh man, is that a big problem where I currently am. So yes, so we'll be talking about that, and I'm excited to talk about that. I don't even know if I'm excited about it, but I just think it's so vital. It's just such a vital, important piece that we need to discuss. So we will talk about that. But we've also talked about organizing your classroom and like setting it up as far as like where you need certain things, and that was in episode 42. And now we are finally to the first week of school. Before we jump into that, I want to, and again, if you already started, you may be like, well, I'm already past this, but there's always like, so I'm going to talk about like team building and class building things that you can do that you can incorporate at any time of the year if you're really wanting your class to build relationships, which is key to being proactive when it comes to behavior issues. Building those relationships between kids and kids between yourself is it is the most important thing that you can do. So even though it takes time, it will pay off in the long run, like 1,000 times. It'll make it so worth the time that you invest in it. But before we talk about that, I do want to share, because I've been talking about this for a couple of weeks on the podcast, about I am a proud affiliate partner with Amy Porterfield, and she is the marketing genius behind Digital Course Academy and building a email list. And if you're a teacher and you have no interest in being a teacherpreneur, having your own business, then you don't need to worry about that. But if you have been thinking, you know what, I would like to dip my toe in the business world. I would like to see what I can do because I have so much to offer and so much to share. And I'm a teacher by nature. So why wouldn't I teach other teachers something? And so if you've ever thought about that, then maybe you have considered a digital course. And a digital course is a course that you create, and Amy takes you step by step through the process, and it's really amazing. It's an amazing transformation. And then you're able to put it out there into the world. You're able to make extra income, and you're able to share a really important message, maybe a method or a process or procedure. And I shared last week the Digital Course Academy Starter Kit, which is a free starter kit that helps you kind of get started in the world of digital courses. Well, now I was talking to a friend, and they were saying, okay, so now I know, but now I need to kind of figure out what I want my digital course to be about. And so I was like, oh, I have this quiz that Amy has put out. Like, what is your course going to be called? Quiz. And so it helps you like think through what you're going to do your course on. And it's only like a 2-minute quiz. And so it's really fun. And I'll share the link to that as well. But I also want to share that she is hosting a free masterclass. And if you want more information, that part of it's free. So you can just listen to that part of it and see if it's anything that you're interested in. You're always going to get value from Amy, no matter if it's free and obviously if you pay for it, you get an unbelievable value. And like I said, I am an affiliate partner. I will put that link to that. If you decide that's your path, I have some bonuses for you when she opens up the course. She's opened Digital Course Academy once in January, and it's been closed for quite a while. She's opening it back up. And if you choose to go in that direction, I would like to offer you some extra bonuses if you decide to go through my link. All right, so I just wanted to share that. And now I want to get down to the first week of school. So let's get to it. So now if you are getting ready for school, like maybe you're starting after Labor Day, hopefully you're not in Florida because we've got a hurricane that's headed towards us. And so, which is not anything new if you live in Florida, but those kinds of things can be kind of scary. But I think most Florida schools are back to school. So if you're in another area, then you might be headed back to school. And I know even though we've done several, I think even more than 5 episodes about back to school, wouldn't it be awesome if you could just listen to like 5 podcast episodes and you'd be ready to start? I mean, but we got to get real here because you and I both know that there's no way that can happen. We know that it takes more, and it always takes more time than we are given to get everything done. Most teachers I know they go back weeks in advance, and it really is so much to ask. And sometimes I feel like teachers are not thanked for that. I know we're not thanked for it. I can remember so many years being like, how much time and energy. I mean, I had paid for childcare so I could go work for free. The expectation sometimes, So I want to say on behalf of children across the world, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your continued dedication and your commitment to excellence. Thank you. Even if you have to save, even if you do it to save your own sanity. Like sometimes I used to go back just to save myself from like freaking out and like calming myself. It doesn't matter why you do it. It ends up being such a magical thing for kids. And I just want to say thank you. You continue to make the difference in the lives of others. And that's just really incredible. So thank you. Okay, so it's week 1 and the kids are coming. Let's imagine that you're motivated. You have your procedures well thought out. You've got them planned. You have your room set up. It's organized and you are prepared for an outstanding open house. Now what? This is about the time that I am like, oh crap. It's like the last day of the week that we get to go back. Like it's the Friday that we get to go back. And then we have some kind of district in service. And I'm like dying to get out of the meeting that is going on and on about something that I think is ridiculous or something that isn't really going to help me or it's not very well done or whatever the case may be. I cannot even think of one single time it's been 20 years, but now I can conclude this year. where I have gone to a district and service that has been meaningful the day, like the week before we go back, the kids come back. Like I think even if it was going to be meaningful, I can't think because I'm so consumed with thoughts about what I'm going to do when they get there. Like I've done everything else I need to do, but I've got the kids coming now. I've got to plan the content. I've got to plan what we're going to do. And so I end up spending my whole entire weekend planning for the week because I didn't get to that part because everything else was in my way, like the meetings, the endless meetings, and the getting your room organized and getting it set up and open house and all that stuff. And so I finally would have a chance to plan the weekend before, and it used to just make me crazy. And my husband, at the time, because I know I've said this before, that we're no longer married, but we were married for 17 years. And every year he would look at me like, you have to work still. And I just was like, are you serious? Like how long do we go through this for you to get that this whole weekend I'm going to be working? Oh, that used to make me crazy. Anyway, so it just was the way that it is. And yeah, so, it's a lot. So for the first week of school, yes, we do spend a lot of time practicing the procedures and going over them and over them and over them. And this takes a lot of time. And I have made the mistake, and I said this in the episode about procedures, which I believe is episode 40. I made this mistake of trying to rush into content before I'd thoroughly gone over procedures, and that is a gigantic mistake. I'm going to say it again right now. It is a gigantic mistake. And even where I am in the new school that I went back to, I am like, I see it all the time because I am constantly called for behavior problems. I can't even sit down. Like it is one call after another. I've never seen anything like it. It's insane. It's hard for me to even have a lunch sometimes. I have to fight to have a lunch. So it's crazy. But one of the things that I notice, I'm like, you have rushed into content. And I try not to walk into people's classrooms and be judgmental by any means. Like I'm not in their shoes at the moment. I've been in their shoes. I've been in their shoes for 17 years. I have the experience. I know what it's like, but I try not to judge other people because everybody's circumstances are different. But I can't help but wonder sometimes, how are we jumping into content so quickly when we have not mastered the routines? And you wouldn't even need me if routines or procedures had turned into a routine. In a lot of cases, not all cases. Sometimes there's nothing you can do about someone that's tipping over furniture. That is a totally different story. But anyway, so that's where I think we think we're saving all this time, and we think we have to, we're told we have to be on the certain spot on the curriculum map and whatever, and that part is ridiculous, but that's a whole nother conversation. And so we feel like we have to rush right into content, right into academics. And it ends up being, you end up losing time in the long run because you're going to have to stop so frequently for behavior problems because you didn't get the routine, make it into a routine, the procedure into a routine, that you have to stop constantly. You end up stealing time from curriculum and content and academics anyway. So you might as well put it off and really create that classroom culture, that very special environment where your kids feel loved and they love each other. And you really have this amazing rapport going on between kids and with you, between you, and you've really gotten to know them and that they have practiced procedures. It just makes such a huge difference. So I'll stop harping on that, but I think it's really important. Okay, so yes, you're practicing procedures, and yes, you still have those things to take care of. But one thing that you can do that helps you on that first week of school is to have at least 5 days of bell work, like a jump start right first thing in the morning. I did think I talked about this in the jump start too, is it would be interesting to see what like a soft opening would look like. Like maybe you had like a makerspace activity, or you had centers when they first came in, like they transitioned into the day. I'm so curious to see how that works, but nobody contacted me. I would love to hear from someone. If you've done this, you do this, you believe in this, you have more information, shoot me an email at TrinaDebery@TrinaDeberyTeachingAndLearning.com. Shoot me an email and tell me about it. I'd love to know. You can also find me on Facebook. Trina Debery Teaching and Learning. You can message me. I would love to hear about this because I'm just curious how it goes. But let's say you're not ready to do that. But you want to have something ready to go for your kids immediately. It really is a huge help as far as behavior goes. Kids need to know what they're expected to do immediately upon arrival. So 5 days of bell work. If you don't know exactly how to set up your routine or procedure for the very beginning of the day, go back and listen to the procedure episode. I talk about that. But now you need the 5 days of bell work. And for me, like I always had the bell work right on their desks every day. And I made sure that it was something that required zero help from me. I do not want to have to take the time to explain it to them. It needs to be easy enough for them to do it on their own, or at least have a partner that knows exactly what to do. So that's really important. So make sure you make it easy enough so that they don't need any help from you, because you've got to get housekeeping things done and you're wanted to make sure that the procedures are followed. And sometimes you just need a moment to breathe without questions about the bell work. You can also use bell work to get an idea of where your kids are as far as writing or following directions or their fine motor skills or even their readability. I still think you stick to things that require zero help from you. I think I said that clearly enough. All right. I also like to choose bell work that they will never finish. Like it's actually long. And that is not typical for bell work for me. Like I don't want them to never finish it normally, but I don't want them to finish early. I don't want to have to deal with what am I going to do if they finish early? Like what kind of sponge activities am I going to have? I don't want that. I want it to be long enough that it keeps even a fast worker busy for a long time. Now, I don't want to overwhelm people because some kids will get overwhelmed by seeing a large amount of content to do, and that can really shut some behavior kids down. So be careful of that too. Like make sure it's broken up enough, maybe in pages, so that they don't have to look at all of it at one time. And I want them to be able to take a bit of time on this. And sometimes, like one of the things that I use as I do a back to school flip book, and I have this for free, and I would love to give it to you. I'm going to link to it in the show notes. You're just going to, click, give me your email. I'm going to send you the back to school flip book, and you'll be able to download it right away. And this it gives you something that they can do, and it puts them to work right away. Then we stop when I'm ready for the introductions and practicing procedures. And again, like this part can get tedious. So when I feel like their eyes are rolling back in their heads, I say, let's spend another 5 minutes working on our flip books. And that gives me a chance to circulate, rest my voice, and regroup. So bell work can work like this, which can be really helpful. Now, I'm going to say also, because my brain is so on behaviors right now, I also want to say that some kids have a hard time putting things down once they've started. So that's okay. This is going to be a procedure that you teach them as well. Like you're going to teach them that it's okay to put it down and that we're going to come back to this. You're going to give them more time, but you may have to reassure some kids because some kids get really stressed out by things like that. So keep that in mind. Also, as I teach the procedures in the first week of school, I also like to go through like a typical schedule. I try to stick to my schedule so that they can start to see that how our day is going to flow. So when it's reading workshop time, I show the process for coming to the floor. We practice it, then they do it. And then I like to have a great literature to start the week off. And I love to get right to what this time will typically look like. Again, I'm not necessarily concerned about making sure that I'm teaching the standards. I am hitting on them. I might be asking and answering questions. I'm doing a lot of modeling. I don't have a high expectation for kids to completely get it yet because this is an introduction and my main focus is on procedures. And my other main goal of great literature is to model fluency and model think alouds and to get them to fall in love. And it also helps them like me because I love to do all the voices and they think it's so fun. And kids that have like negative attitudes about reading, sometimes they go, like this is really cool. So here's some books that I've used, and this is second grade. And I could use these in first grade, second grade. They may be a little simple for third grade, but I would say first grade and second grade for sure. First Day Jitters by Julie Danberg. I think that is a fun one to do. First Year Letters by Julie Danberg. It's great when you're carrying on the main character through a story, like through different stories, which brings me to another great one. What do you do with a problem? What do you do with an idea? What do you do with a chance? That's the same character in 3 different stories. It's great for comparing and contrasting when you get to that point. I love Mo Willems, Knuffle Bunny, all of them, all three of them are so fun to do in the beginning of the year. I love to do Trixie's voice and the kids love it. Lily's Purple Plastic Purse by Kevin Henkes. I love him too. Julius Baby of the World Lily is in both of those again. So you may be starting to see that I am like focusing on characters because we're focusing on characters at the beginning of the year. So I am sticking to a theme here, or to a standard. I'm just completely not jumping into it yet. Chrysanthemum, Wemberly Worried, all of these books are so fun and meaningful at the beginning of the year, and they also let you really get into some characters, which is content that you need to teach, or at least you do in first grade and second grade. And I know you need to teach characters in a lot of grades, but that's kind of where we start. Again, they're all excellent discussion starters. I really love to capture my kids with all the different voices. That is so fun. That's like my favorite part of the day. And then another great first week activities include team builders and class builders. And I have some that are straight out of my back to school theme packs. I have back to school theme packs with various themes like the ocean and sports and camping and things like that. And in them, I have like things for decor and things for organization, but I also have things for the first week of school. And I give you like lots of ideas. And so I have some class builders in there, one of which is a Find Someone Who, which I think is a great way for kids to get up and walk around. You can play music. You allows kids to get to know each other and see how exciting learning can be. You want to wow them. I know that people are like, I'm not entertaining them, but you know what? With this day and age, we kind of have to entertain them. This is a day of age of instant gratification. These kids are binge watching things and playing video games on their iPads. We are going to look like a big giant flop if we're not doing things that are getting them moving, getting them interested, engaging them and exciting them, because we have like a high bar that we have to reach. And I know some teachers are like, I'm not doing that. This is what they're doing. And we can have that attitude. You can certainly decide this is what I'm going to do, but you're setting yourself up for a difficult time. And I'm just going to say it because it's a hard truth, and it's just the facts. Another fun one is, and it can be exciting, is a classroom bingo. Like, I think that's fun as well. And I'm going to share those with you also because I want to give you something that you can use. And I'm going to take them right out of my packs. So if you decide that you want the packs, then you are going to see that these 2 pages are in there, but I'm going to give them to you for free. So they're in the show notes. Check those out too. I also like to do a lot of review for procedures with class building or team building structures, which I follow Kagan Cooperative Learning Structures. And if you aren't aware of these, then Google them, check them out. They're absolutely the single most teacher changing experience of my career. I went to the 5-day training in Orlando in Florida, and it was the best training I've ever been to in all the years I've gone. And I've been to a ton of training, including going to Teachers College in New York and like the tech conference in different places and lots of different trainings. And I'm telling you, the Kagan Cooperative Learning was the thing that changed my teaching more than anything. So let me give you some tips for team building or reviewing of procedures. So one of my favorite Kagan structures is called simultaneous roundtable. And in this case, every student on the team is numbered. Like they have like a number 1 through 4. And each student has a paper in front of them, and doesn't have to, but in this case, they have a paper in front of them. And for me, I do like a paper on learning our routines and procedures because I want it to be tied to the procedures. I want them to understand this. So I have them at first, they write or draw the first step of the procedure in the first box or on the line, depending on your paper. I usually set a timer so that it doesn't take them forever because I'll have some kids that will, make a complete, beautiful illustration. And I really just want a quick sketch. Then I tell kids to stand up behind their chairs when they are done. Their voices are off. When the timer goes off or all the kids are standing, I tell them to point to their right. And I do tell them to point so they know which way they're going. And I double check to make sure that they're going in the right direction. If not, you've got people pointing to the left and to the right, and it's very confusing. So pointing is a tip that I add in to the structure because I think it really helps kids know which direction they're going in, especially if they're little. I say on the word go, you will move 1 chair to the right, and then you're going to sit down and wait. I say go, they move and sit. They don't work. They're not allowed to pick up their pencil. Their pencil has to stay on the table. Then we review step 2, then they write or draw it, and we repeat the steps that I just said. When they are done, every child has a paper with their own work and other kids' works on it. So it's like the 4 steps of something that they now see. They did, they might have done their first step on their own paper, and then they did the second step on the next number 2's paper, and then on number 3's paper, and then number 4's paper. It's just really cool. Everybody's engaged. Everybody's doing something, and they're contributing to the, creation for the teammate. So it's a really fun team builder. Another fun team builder that is great for back to school is creating a team name or a team mascot. That can be really cool. Giving kids like a large piece of chart paper or butcher paper, and each student gets a color to work with. This is where you can hold them individually accountable, which Spencer Kagan, is that his name? Now I'm forgetting. But Kagan, that's what he talks about, is holding them individually accountable. It's different than cooperative learning in that way, because every kid is held accountable for their actions. So that's why I like to give them a different color. So if I have a team of 4, I might give a red, a blue, a green, and a purple. And that way I can see who was involved, because we want to get right to like working as a team and making sure everybody participates, and not one person does it all and then somebody does nothing. So that can be really helpful. But then you have them work together to create that team mural or their name or their mascot, and they're using the different colors, and it allows them to reflect on the conclusion about the teamwork. Like, what does this say about our teamwork? If there's only one color on the paper, they know, or that someone dominated the team, and you talk about that. And it really makes a great discussion on collaboration. And like teaching kids to work in a team and having those social skills is a life skill. It's a life skill that kids need. And a lot of employers are saying that they're coming lacking that. And that is, that's a problem. So we want to contribute in this way. Okay, so a tip for like a class builder. So those were a few that was a team builder. Let me give you a tip for a class builder, which is another way that you can review the procedures. One of the structures I like to do, and they don't have this one anymore in Kagan. He doesn't talk about this, but I loved this structure, and I still felt like it worked really well for my class, and it was quiz trade. And I think it's great. So you have a few procedures written down or drawn or photographed on index cards, like such as getting a drink of water, coming into the class, going to the bathroom, asking a question, the quiet signal, like etc. You pass them out to the kids. You're going to have them face down. You have multiple of the ones that you feel are super important if you don't have enough for each student. Like, let's say you don't have enough procedures for each student. You don't have 20 procedures, which you might though. But if you don't, then you're going to repeat the ones that you really think are important, like 3 before me. Maybe that's one that you think is really important, or how they're going to raise their hand when they have a question. So maybe you have that on multiple cards because you're going to run into it a lot, which is good. You want that. You tell them on go, or you have kids stand behind their chairs with their cards and they wait. You tell them on go. I always say when I say go, if not, they just start going, and I don't want that. I want them to wait for my direction. So I tell them on go that they're going to start walking around the room, that they'll be holding their cards. And this is where I like to have them give each other like a high five when they're walking past one another, or like a good handshake. And I like to practice the handshake too, because I think it's important for kids to know how to really shake someone's hand, like a nice firm handshake, not too hard, not too soft. And we model this. We talk about lightly high-fiving and not like trying to beat someone's hand to death. Which high-fiving might not be a word, but you know what I mean. And if you don't model this, you will run into kids like that will go, they'll hit it beyond. They'll take it beyond the point that they need to, which is something you want to address. And they'll think it's hilarious that they've done that, and it's not hilarious. So we want to make sure that they follow expectations. And I always have like a success spot if kids can't follow those expectations. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you weren't unable to follow this. I am going to put you in a place where you can be successful, which that means they basically are out of the activity. Tell them that you tell them they're going to be walking and giving high fives until the music stops, or a handshake, whatever. Tell them when the music stops, they will partner up with the first person next to them. They're going to stand back to back with their voices off. This is also a great time to talk about being inclusive and not skipping people on purpose or being mean to others when they can't participate. And it's a really good time to talk, like model it, what it looks like, what it doesn't look like. Like we don't go, oh, I have to be with her. We don't do that. Like and this is, again, all these little lessons are involved in this one thing. All these lessons about getting along and making people feel included is in this one activity. That is huge. Okay, so then you say go and you start the music. You pause after a few seconds, then you stop the music, let them find a partner and stand back to back. If they can't find one, this is a procedure you're going to want to teach in advance. If they can't find one, they're going to raise their hand and they're going to be on the lookout for anyone else who doesn't have a partner. And you, as the teacher, may have to be the partner, or you might want to put them as a threesome, as a triangle. That's up to you. But you want them to know what to do if they don't have a partner, because you don't want them to just stand there. You want them to put their hand up that they can see someone else's hands up and they can go to that person. They can go to each other. And it also helps you know that everybody is now partnered up. So they're standing back to back, completely silent, no talking. You tell them, again, on go, the person with the shortest hair will be person A. You're going to quiz the other person, which will be person B, about your procedure. Person B will explain the process. Person A will coach them if they get it. If they get it, if they don't get it, they're going to coach them. You're teaching them about coaching and how a good coach doesn't tell you how to do it. A good coach helps you figure it out for yourself, but they also praise you. You're going to teach them about praising one another. Like, that was a great job. You're awesome, or whatever. It's really important to teach kids how to praise each other. Maybe like even a signal, like a roller coaster. I can't think of the word. Like like a reward, but like I can't think of the word. So I'm sorry. But like something where they just teaching them how to praise each other is really, really important, because kids don't know how to make other kids feel good sometimes. And so this can be really helpful. You also want to model how to do this. And you want to model how to coach and listen rather than criticizing or not paying attention. You want to practice active listening. This is a great active listening activity as well. So all these little things come into play when you're doing this one activity. There's so much that happens in this one thing, in this quiz trade. And then person B quizzes person A in the exact same way with whatever procedure they had on their card. After both are done, they're going to trade cards and stand back to back. You're going to repeat these steps, and you're going to say go again. They're going to wander and the music's playing and they're high-fiving each other as they walk past, and then the music stops. And then they're standing back to back, and now they have a partner. You figure out partner A and B again. Partner A quizzes B. B answers it. A is coaching and praising. Then partner B is quizzing partner A, and B is coaching and praising. And then when both of them are finished, they trade cards and they turn back to back again. And then the whole thing repeats. And you do this for a little while. You also don't have to have them stop and turn back to back after they've like traded. You can have them quiz each other, quiz, and then trade, and then keep going. Quiz, and then trade and keep going. And then you can just have them keep going, which allows them to like really move around a lot. So that you can do it that way as well. I sometimes have them stop just to make sure that they are finding another person, but you don't have to do it that way. You can do it either way. So you repeat these steps as long as you wish. And at the conclusion, you go over what the partner said as a final review. So basically, you have a chance to review all the procedures that you've taught for the week. I think this is a great class builder, because now you've gotten kids talking to different kids. You've taught things like active listening. You've taught things about coaching and praising. You've taught them about the procedure itself. And again, they've moved. I mean, and they're listening. It's such a powerful activity. And a lot of lessons are learned, like I said, in this activity. You reviewed the procedures. You've taught them how to coach. You've taught them how to listen. You've taught them how to speak to others. You've taught them how to follow directions. It's just really powerful. All right, last but not least. And I love to do this the first week with the first week activities. It really helps me to get to know my kids. So anything that does that is a significant is really significant for this time of year. Like goal setting is another considerable activity for the first week. Like I think that can be really important. And for the most part, I do tend to stick to like the math book for the first week. So I don't get like super far behind. So I might do some kind of an activity with math. I might use like a showdown with whiteboards or something like that. I want it to be high engagement. I want it to be exciting. I usually keep science and social studies very light because I don't often get to it because I'm spending so much time doing procedures. And I really want enough time for that. You should now feel like you have some really good ideas for the first week of school. And even if you are over planning, it's so much better to have enough than it is to not have enough and be like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this time? So tell yourself it's going to be okay and it's okay that you don't get to everything. So I think that's important. So this is the takeaway. I want you to make sure that you have chosen 5 days of bell work that will keep your kids busy, and that there's going to require 0 time for you. And it's long enough to keep them busy. They can come back to it so that you can take breaks periodically. Because teaching procedures is a lot of talking on your part and it gets exhausting. Using class builders and team builders, that's another really helpful way of remembering procedures and also getting kids to learn valuable skills like coaching, praising, listening, speaking, working, and like having fun with each other. I think that's important. And you definitely want to get your books together for a read aloud. This has been a lot. So I hope that you are like feeling like, okay, well, it's a lot, but it gives me some ideas of what I can do on that first week of school. And I think that is really important. So if you need some more ideas about back to school or first weeks of school, then you can definitely check out my back to school themes, like my packs. I have several different activities in those, some class builders and team builders in there for you to work through with your kids. And I also have, like I was talking about characters a lot with the read alouds I picked. I do have a character unit of study, which takes a look at like characters overcoming obstacles. It was written for second grade specifically. If you had a higher first grade, you could totally use it. Or if you had third graders that needed a little lighter beginning, you could use it in that case, but it's really written for second grade. It's complete lesson plans for 4 weeks of your reading workshop. It even helps you go through the procedures of setting up reading workshop, like how you teach them how to do readings to self, and how you teach them how to do partner reading, and how they check out Just Right books. So that is available. I do have a third grade one on character units as well that also has that, like how to set up a reading workshop. So those are available too, and I'll link to them in the show notes. So that was a lot of information, but the first week can be a lot of information. So keep that in mind and don't get yourself overwhelmed. It's a very special time to really set a tone in your classroom, a tone of engagement and excitement, enthusiasm, and caring, kindness. It can be really special. It can be really stressful too. So believe me, like my voice is all gravelly and rough because I'm exhausted from these first few weeks of school. I'm looking forward to it being Labor Day and, soon, and like getting a little bit of rest for once. But I still am like in awe of so many different things that go on in schools. It's just like, wow. I love to see when kids are excited about learning. Like that is one of my favorite things. So really think about like what you want in your classroom this year and make it happen. Well, this one tired teacher is completely ready for a long weekend. So until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.